The greatest realizations you'd ever come to have, especially as you become an adult, is that in this life, stories can change. And stories can change in such a dramatic way that what you knew in the past becomes unrecognizable in the present. There was this young boy I knew throughout his childhood. We were very close. Growing up, he was not a bad child. He was what you could term an evil child. I mean, think of everything. Nasty behaviors, terrible habits, extremely stubborn. He was terrible at school, flunking his grades, always failing, causing his parents so much pain. As you'd expect, this translated into his performances at school. I mean, his academics were in total shambles. This young boy was always failing every single term. And then to make matters worse, his school had a very nasty and dehumanizing tradition whereby they call out the bottom three people, that failed every term, right? And then they'll put them out in the assembly ground and start playing beats for them and force them to dance. And if they don't dance, they'll flog the hell out of them. So they will dance in front of their peers and everybody will laugh at them. This thing was so dehumanizing, but it became the norm for this young boy that I'm telling you about. This boy didn't even think he was going to pass the entrance exam to junior secondary school. But somehow he did. But the story remained the same. Always failing, nasty behaviors, being the class clown, being the one that everybody used to laugh at. His brother even told him that there were times when their mom would walk into his room, look at him and start shedding tears because she was wondering what was going on with her son. And his mom used to do something very interesting. His mom would always have meetings with them every week and start telling him, young man, you're smart. I gave birth to an intelligent son. And then in his mind, he's like, okay, intelligent. His story remained the same until he got to SS1. One random evening like that, he went to submit an assignment. And then his Igbo language teacher asked him a question. She said, do you genuinely think the way you are now is all that God has in store for you in this life? He left that classroom having that question in his mind throughout his classes for the rest of the day. Immediately after class, because usually he's the one to stay behind and crack everybody up, but immediately after class, he went home. As he got home, he just said hi to his dad, said hi to his mom, entered his room. He didn't have his bath throughout, and he stayed up all night. Suddenly he felt like the scales had fallen off from his eyes, and he now could see that the way he wasn't all that he could be. Luckily for him, that day was a Friday. The next day, he didn't go to school. Instead, he went to his mom's room, packed books, right? His mom used to read a lot of books, packed books, and started reading on his own. Then the next day after that, Sunday, the pastor made an altar call and he came out to get saved. So he was making all these decisions quick. And then that same Sunday, he made a list of all his friends, the people he used to talk to, and then cancelled every single name with a red pen. All of these changes in his life were happening at the tail end of that term. So it was like that term was gone and he was just waiting for the next term. The next term, first off, he was only talking to a maximum of 3 people in the entire set of more than 50 people, right? And then the second thing was that the same person that used to be all over the place, being a class clown, was now the one that was the most quiet, asking questions in class, studying every break time. And guess what happened? For the first time in the longest, he did not fail. He was like 8th in the class. He came back home, gave his mom his result booklet, and his mom had tears in her eyes. But when the entire school started paying attention was when he got to SS2. And they released the results and he was 3rd in his class. People were like, this is that same person? Are you sure this is the same person, or has he been cloned? This new person, in just a few months, became the general monitor of his school in SS2, became one of the most prominent leaders in that school, one of the best public speakers in that school. By SS3, he ran for senior prefect, eventually became the chief judge, got the highest score in JAMB in his set, got several distinctions, A1s in his WAEC, got into school to study law. He studied law successfully. While he was studying law, became one of the best public speakers in his faculty and even in the entire school. Got into brand communications in school, started working with international companies, right? Became a consultant just 2 years after school. This new person is the same person that is talking to you today. Every 29th of October, when my birthday comes, I remember where God brought me from. Stories can absolutely change.